Welcome to Why Did It Flop?, the series where we revisit Hollywood's biggest box office disappointments and ask one simple question: did they deserve to fail?
That's Bruce Willis as a whimsical master thief in Hudson Hawk, an overstuffed caper comedy in which unfortunately every character, I mean every character, including the villains, tries too hard to be funny.
I don't really make movies for critics, and I think that was probably why for a long time I was getting a lot of bad press.
In fact, it's unbelievable that anyone could have read the script of this movie and thought that it could be produced as a successful film, because every single line starts from zero and gets to nowhere. I'm not going to apologize for it. I'm not going to apologize for making this film. I thought it was funny then. I think it's funny now. I think it holds up. People are still watching it. You know, we're both still around. Nobody chased us out of town. They said, go, you can't, banish from the kingdom or something. We're still doing it. I also didn't like the fact that throughout the movie, people would jump out of windows, and instead of being killed, they would land in chairs, sitting next to somebody who would start talking to them.
I was afraid you weren't going to drive by.
To the point where you're just sitting there feeling whoever made this movie was completely addled. There was just absolutely no window for the audience to get in through, to get into the story.
There was a song before it was a story.
Right.
That we used to just kind of scat around. We used to just be
Actually,
walking.
and
you had to have a good song to walk down the street in New York.
Exactly right. And one of the things that had occurred to me, Bruce probably heard it an hour after the original idea. I mean, it was that fresh. I remember when it first occurred. I had been reading about Coleman Hawkins. Coleman Hawkins was known as the Hawk, and in the same period of reading, I also had been reading about Chicago, and the wind that blows off the lake in Chicago is also called the Hawk. And for some reason, all this was stewing in my fevered imagination, and I was walking west on 86th Street from Central Park, and one of those incredible winds came off the Hudson River. One of those winds that was so powerful that you could actually have fun leaning forward and seeing if it would hold you up. It was that kind of strong, might have been a zephyr or a mistral, I'm not sure which, but you would feel that incredible wind. And I had this idea that if it's the Hawk in Chicago and Coleman Hawk, somehow I thought maybe this wind is the Hudson Hawk. And I was walking along thinking, boom, ding, 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 ba-dum, dum, ding, ding, dum. I had this sort of bass line. I probably was walking to Bruce's or he was coming to my house or something, because I remember about an hour later I sort of played it for him, and suddenly we started to work towards this kind of just a thing. I don't know if it was going to be a song or a bass line, whatever, but somewhere in that period, Bruce had the idea of there was a character, there was maybe a story, and he said at one point, either that afternoon or many weeks later or something, someday I'm going to make a movie called The Hudson Hawk. And I thought, yeah, sure. I mean, we're both, you're you're working in a bar, I'm trying to get a record deal, and you're already making this movie. P.S.
Here we are.
And that's where it all came from.
You know enough about the history of movies to know what kind of a style they're going for. They're trying to do the Hope and Crosby routine. They're trying to do a little bit of Abbott and Costello.
One of the first things we said was that it was like James Bond before he became James Bond. Like, what was James Bond when he was 20 years old? Three Stooges jokes in there. And I think more than anything else, it's always not too good an idea to try to make yourselves laugh. But we were laughing while we were shooting.
Hudson Hawk does have some funny lines from Bruce Willis, but this project was ill-conceived, I think, right at the script level.
It was.
Looking at how it kind of became this cult film, and what people, come up and say to me on the street about it is they dig the fact that it was making fun of itself and that it was satire And I don't think anybody got that when it came out. They didn't know what to make of it, you know. Me and Danny Aiello singing
Gold.
And all the monkeys on in the zoo. Every day you see quite a few. So you see, it's all under you. You could be better than you are. You could be swinging on a star.
in a movie was just unheard of, and there were, you know, people were mad about it or something. Like they were mad that we were trying to make them laugh.
It's a well-intentioned movie that tries to be different, but just wears us out.
I was always impressed. Bruce has a unique ability to be resilient, and I think I was distressed and hurt. And I remember you felt, I don't think I can say what you actually said, but
I said, fuck it. I said, whatever, right. You know, I mean, it doesn't matter.
And I thought, you know what, you're right. I was taking it personally, and there was a little bit of, Bruce just said, you know what, man, if they don't get it, on to the next.
And they're trying to bring in all these kinds of things, and it's too much. It just doesn't work at all.
The thing that I think should be said about the film is that it was special to us for a lot of different reasons, but it was vilified, I think, more than any film of its time, of its decade. It had some of the worst. They had been trying to say, they've been trying to tear down, you know, come after me, I guess, since the first Die Hard, and you know, the films were successful anyway. But they finally were. They had started to review this film long before anybody saw any of it, you know. So it was just my time to catch a beating in the press. But the film is in profit now, and it's, you know, paid for itself and is making money. I get, you know, which is a Pyrrhic victory, I suppose. I still laugh at it. I think it's funny. There's stuff in the movie that makes me laugh. I mean, it's just so silly.
I'd bid by mine own wench, quelle belle mère.
Don't hate me, baby.
And that was the whole point. We were just trying to make people laugh, and it might have been a little too hip for the room at the time.
It's one of these movies where there's no way for the audience to get involved because everything is arbitrary.
Hudson Hawk. Life doesn't get much better than this.
Personally, I've always enjoyed Hudson Hawk. It's fun, it's completely over the top, and it's one of those films I've happily watched more than once. But after looking into its development, you do have to wonder how such an unusual project made it through the studio system. I suppose when Bruce Willis was at the absolute peak of his career after Die Hard, backing a passion project probably seemed like an easy decision. Still, you'd imagine someone, somewhere, must have looked at the script and thought, are audiences really going to go for this? For me, that's what makes Hudson Hawk so fascinating. It's not just a box office flop, it's one of Hollywood's boldest creative gambles. But what do you think? Was it a misunderstood cult classic, or did it deserve its reputation? Let me know in the comments.